Reddit. What is the scariest thing you've seen, but no one believes you? Didn't see it, but heard it. My friends and I got a cheap set of walkie-talkies from Walmart and were playing around with them in the middle of the day. There's a bit of silence as we're trying to figure out the volume, and out of nowhere, there's a male voice saying, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday," that comes through all of our walkie-talkies, and it definitely sounds like one of those aircraft headsets. We try to answer back, but there's no response. I called non-emergency, but they said there weren't any reports of distressed aircraft or ships, and even if there were, they could not do anything about it. Alternatively, a couple of months later, I saw a plane with an engine on fire go over my campus, but apparently no one else did. Growing up, I had a friend named Adam. He was never able to come out during the day, only right before all of us kids had to go home for the evening. Adam lived a few houses over, in a house with an overgrown yard. I met his parents once. They were very strange, didn't smile, and obviously didn't want me there. I remember Adam telling me that he was sick, that's why he couldn't play that much. He was a small boy, pale with dark hair. Eventually, Adam stopped showing up altogether, and I eventually moved on, though I do remember going to his house a couple of times to see if he could come play, and his dad would just give me this look before closing the door in my face. Later in life, I asked my sister if she remembered him. She doesn't, and according to my parents, the house was empty the entire time we lived there. I don't know who Adam was. I don't know why I so vividly remember him and his parents. As far as I can tell, he wasn't real, and yet I have perfect memories of him and his parents. When I was 7 or 8, I would have recurrent nightmares that one of my dolls came to life, played with me, and then would try to pull me into my closet with her. I'd follow her into the closet at first, but then she'd show me this little door at the back of the closet, and my heart would start to race. I don't know what it was about that door, but I knew something bad would happen if I went through it. I'd start to struggle and try to pull away, but the doll was too strong and would start pulling me through the door. At this point in my dream, I'd always wake up screaming. The worst part was that I had night terrors, so sometimes I'd wake up standing next to my closet. Every night before bed, I would make my parents make sure that there wasn't a little door at the back of my closet. There never was. Anyway, I was talking to my mom the other day and this dream came up. I'm laughing about it and how ridiculously paranoid I was about the dolls in that closet. But my mom gets really quiet. She then tells me the creepy part of the dream wasn't the doll. It was the fact that there used to be a little door at the back of the closet, but when I was 1 year old, they remodeled the house and put a wall where the door used to be. There is no way I could have remembered that door, but years later, I kept dreaming about it. None of my friends believe this story, but I swear it's true. I grew up in a 2-acre home with plenty of trees and room for an 8-year-old to run around. Our house was also heated in the winter by a wood fireplace, so we would periodically cut down one of our trees to save money. Well, for about 2 years there was a stump less than a foot tall near the house, and at least once a day, without fail, I would see someone standing on that stump. Usually it was out of the corner of my eye, but once or twice I looked directly at him. I always looked away quickly because it startled me and he was gone. But my sister says she experienced the same thing. Nothing ever came of it though. Alright, buckle in. My neighbor was dying of a heart condition about 6 years ago. He knew he was, so he was giving away his valuables to people he trusted with him. Neighbor gave me his tackle box. He loved to fish. I would see him come home from fishing every day and he'd just sit on his porch and skin fish. I just put the tackle box in my closet and didn't really do anything with it since I don't fish. Anyways, soon after, he passed away in his home. Exactly a week after that, I woke up to the tackle box at the foot of my bed. Weird, but my stepdad likes to dick around. Figured it was him, so I put it back. The next morning, I woke up it's at the foot of my bed again. So, I asked my stepdad what the deal was, and he had no idea what I was talking about. To test this, I put the tackle box in a spot that he wouldn't find, nor would he attempt to get it. Under my bed, all the way in the back against the wall, and I put stuff in front of it to conceal it. The next morning, nothing. Okay, I guess it was him. Didn't give it much thought after that. 3 days pass. I woke up one morning and there it is, at the foot of my bed. Now, I'm starting to freak out, so I did what any rational person would and I went fishing with it. After I went fishing, I put the tackle box away and it hasn't moved since then. It's still there. This happened to me last year, and I fully understand why no one believed me because it sounds so ridiculous. Every morning, I need to wake up at 5 a.m. to get the 5:30 bus to the train station to go to university. I had to be there by 8 a.m., but I like to get there half an hour early. To get to the bus stop, I have to walk down this bike path and under this bridge to get to this quiet back street road. There is fuck all light on the bike path. This street is dead quiet. The right side of the road is a continuation of the bike path, and the left is a normal footpath with a long green hedge. One morning, I was standing there waiting for a bus, and this old woman comes walking out from under the bridge. I didn't see her at first because, as I said, it was pitch black on the bike path. She crosses the road and walks up to me. She asked me if I knew where X Road was. I turned to point in the direction of the road she was looking for. When I turned back around, she was gone. This old woman who was walking at a snail's pace disappeared within 3 seconds. The scariest thing I saw was at the age of 16. I woke up early in the morning, 4:30, 5ish a.m. Me and some friends were supposed to go on a road trip for the weekend. We had a long ride to one of those stops we wanted to visit and didn't want to be there too late. I look out my window and it's still kinda dark outside. I walk downstairs and see wet footprints all over the house, and suddenly a big man, like 6'7", I was around 6'1" at the time, just bolt past me and out the front door. Not really creepy, but I shed at least 5 bricks and bolted upstairs to my dad. Nothing got stolen, but things were scattered all over the house. This was 4 years ago as I was walking on the sidewalk on a busy afternoon. I saw a suspicious man about 18 years old. He was 10 meters away from me and walking at what looked like towards me. I kept my eyes on him despite the fact that he wasn't looking directly at me. His eyes were roaming, jumping from an object to an object. As we approached one another, half a meter away from each other, he takes out a knife and tries to stab me in my left side. He wasn't really fast, so I easily dodged it and immediately turned to see who he is, or if he's trying to stab me again. To my surprise, he continues walking, and after a couple of meters, he stops, turns around, smiles, and gives me a thumbs up. Then he continues walking in the opposite direction. I spent one summer in high school living with my aunt and uncle and keeping their 7-year-old daughter for them during the day while they worked. I was up late one night watching TV in the living room. The living room was right off the kitchen, separated only by an L-shaped bar. I saw my cousin out of the corner of my eye walk down the hallway from her room into the kitchen. It was way past her bedtime, so I told her she needed to go back to bed. When I didn't hear an answer, I got up and walked around the bar and into the kitchen. There was no one there. I checked under the bar to see if she was hiding from me, and there was no one there, and nowhere else she could have gone from the kitchen. I walked down the hallway to her room, and she was fast asleep, snoring, so there was no way it was her. It baffled me and freaked me out because I didn't see my cousin. Who was the little girl that walked into the kitchen? I woke up to something. It sounded like a door shutting. At first, I thought it was a dream because I could hear it in the dream as I was waking up. Kinda like when someone calls your name when you're dreaming. But then, I looked at my cat. His hair was completely standing up and he was beaming at the bedroom door. This was the moment when I got really scared because I know how animals can pick up on that shit and I thought he might know something's wrong. My cat doesn't do this type of thing unless a dog is in the room. So I looked over at the door, and the only way I can describe it is it looked like it was swaying slowly, like it was breathing, like someone was standing on the other side of it trying to hear if I was awake. This swaying was accompanied by a shadow. I don't mean a supernatural shadow, but it looked like a shadow of a person behind the door. I was paralyzed in fear. I laid there for 5 minutes naked watching this door away. I considered yelling and trying to scare them away, but I was terrified someone might respond, and legitimately thought this was the only moment where I will have to defend myself or be killed. I don't own a gun, but after 10 minutes or so, I mustered up the courage to check every room in the house. I fucking checked every corner too, but there was no one there. I don't know what happened, but my evolutionary traits kicked in and I completely believed someone was outside my door. I want to take a quick moment to thank all of my patrons, as well as invite you to become one. As of now, over 90% of my work is demonetized, and your support helps ensure the future of the channel.